Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Untethered. This is the technology or tech edition, or what I like to say, the internet is a scam edition. This is where we discuss technology, and I usually at the end I point out how the internet is just a complete scam and you shouldn't fall for a lot of the crap that people are pushing in your direction. But I've been more lenient this year, so I'm getting more into different topics when it comes to that. Now, before I start, I want to introduce my co-host, Mark Edworthy. And on our panel, we have my brother, Robert Hanson, Auto X, and the infamous V. V from Parts Unknown. Welcome to the show, guys. And before we get started, I want to tell everybody that this is the third to the last episode for Untethered this year. We'll have two more. One will be current events, and the last one will be the political edition. After that, we're going to be doing Roger's Real-Time Talk Show. Roger's Real-Time Talk Show event, which in the first 3 seasons, me and Mark did, we discussed politics concerning, or historical politics concerning the United States, England, and then Europe. Now this year we're doing different. We're going to go more into depth. We're going to be talking about socialism and the history on that, starting out with topics like the Frankfurt School and how it progressed over time. So it's going to be pretty interesting. If you guys want to come in and be a part of the panel, you're more than welcome to. Otto, I believe you were in the first season when we did it. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I do remember some of that. Very interesting discussions we had indeed.
So you guys are more
I just realized something. I just realized something. The last show will be a week before the Makersfield by-election.
Oh my goodness.
The potential sort of Andy Burnham becoming the next Prime Minister.
That'd be pretty
We should
good.
cover that live. Do the returns as they come in. And we've got our man on the spot, Lord Edworthy, giving us the latest returns from... That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool. So this week, like I said, this is going to be actually a pretty good one. I'm going to start out soft on it because... and then we'll get into the more hard-hitting stuff. Now, here recently, they had what was called the Canvas cyber attack. Have you guys heard of that?
Not offhand. Tell me more.
No, with the Canvas cyber attack, it involved thousands of schools and universities that are recovering from a massive ransomware attack on the Canvas learning platform. Now the hacker group, Shiny Hunters is what they're called, has claimed credit for it, and they threatened to leak 3.65 terabytes of data, including private student-teacher messages by, at this point, it was May the 12th, if the ransom isn't paid. This makes...
Woohoo! Cyber terrorism.
I believe this makes the second or third, maybe even the fourth time that we've brought these up on the internet or on this show, because we discussed the cyber attacks that took place with the airports. There's been quite a few of those, and we also mentioned one where it involved the Canadian military, where I don't know if you guys remember it or not, but I believe it was the car dealership Ford that they had the people that did the paperwork whenever somebody bought a vehicle. There was a company that did all the paperwork and everything on the internet, and it ended up getting hacked, and they ended up holding them hostage, and it caused a lot of problems within the within the card industry, to where people who were actually doing the transactions had to manually do them by hand, like the old ways. Now, this same company, me and Mark did the show on it, and we found out that this was actually a shady organization by itself. They've actually had numerous amounts of hacks that have taken place. Now, they're a liquidity group, and I believe that's what they call it, isn't it?
Asset management group, yeah, same thing.
Yeah. So what they basically do is they're this kind of company that comes in, they'll buy up a freaking private, or no, what was it? It was a publicly owned company, and they'll gut it out from the ground up, and they'll just put the minimum amount of whatever they need back into the company, and security is the one that lacks on it. Now this group was also involved in doing stuff with the Canadian Army, which actually, there's the military, I know that much, which actually had a cyber attack done to it too. And I'm noticing that more and more as time goes by, these cyber attacks are happening. We also mentioned one about the airport, like I said, and they said that was just like a glitch, just like a little bleep, you know what I mean? It wasn't nothing dangerous and stuff, but that all depends on what time of the day or the week or the year that kind of hack actually happens. You know, what'll happen if, like, an airplane's planning on landing and something happens up in the tower, you know what I mean? So I think they were really lucky about that, and that's what I wanted to start out with, this cyber attack, and possibly anything that you guys might have to say when it comes to cyber attacks that are taking place. So I'm gonna open it up and let you guys talk.
Okay. Well, before Mark starts, I wanted to throw in my analog hat in the ring real quickly and say, if there are more cyber attacks happening, it's probably because cyber infrastructure is much more widespread, and so you've got more opportunities for attacks. That was my first thought. Now, over to Mark.
Actually, I disagree, because this is related to my old argument of self-hosting and third-party hosting. Canva's centralized software as a service, platform as a service, or cloud-based platform, controlled by Instructure Holdings Inc. And a large amount of schools and colleges in the US, I think, I need to clarify that, but use this platform. And obviously, being a centralized platform, the data is all centralized, so multiple institutions all having their data controlled by this one company. I saw reports the couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, but I didn't really think very much about it. It was only a brief report I saw, but it made me think that there are similar sort of open source software as a service products, such as Moodle, which school educational institutions could actually host themselves without requiring to pay a third-party company to host it or pay licenses for. So it goes back, like I said, it goes back to my sort of arguments about when I started in the industry. A lot of companies were, especially big corporations, were using their own infrastructure, whereas now a lot of companies, a lot of institutions are using third-party infrastructure. A lot of big a lot of institutions using, let's say, Google Drive, Google Docs, and Google Email, Gmail for the infrastructure, so forth.
Yeah, but that's now on the news today.
Okay.
Today on the news, the president made the statement about the guy that deals with the AI, the new technology for all that, called them up and told them not to sign the paperwork for it because they were going to check in more of it because there was things in the paperwork that the guy did not like and didn't want the president to sign for the new
Oh, he read the end user agreement. He read the end user agreement and he didn't like it.
Yeah, and with what do you call it, for security measures, like people's privacies and all that as well. Because he didn't like that.
Well, can I, before you get any deeper, can I just throw mine in there really quick before you go into the specifics? Without knowing too much information here, I'm going to go with my usual. You guys know what I'm going to say. I assume that everything, when you hear stuff like this in the news, my first thought, I go with the conspiracy theorist Occam Razor. Assume everything's a false flag until proven otherwise. So, as long as you've got stuff ramping up, you've got agencies who act as agents, provocateurs. They find weaknesses. They pretend to be this terrorist group, that terrorist group, even though they actually work for some agency, and they force not only changes, but changes to where it's easily more manageable and monitorable by their own people. So, and again, that kind of pushes people into a position of having less rights, less privacy, and having to go with the new status quo. And I'm not saying there's not hackers out there. I'm not saying there's not dissidents out there. But until somebody is found and charged, because a lot of these scenarios, people aren't found and charged. NSA might say, "Oh, it was North Korea," blah, blah, blah. But when I started doing my radio show at a radio station in California, and I started posting and advertising my stuff on Facebook, my so-called Facebook account got hacked by so-called 32 different countries, and Facebook wouldn't give me my account back. North Korea was one of them that they claimed, and some African countries. Like, I'm only talking about corruption in the United States. It doesn't make any sense for any of these other countries to have any interest in me, right?
Yeah.
So I just always assume false flag first until some culprit takes responsibility. But go ahead.
Just on the point of that, it's been alleged that a group known as Shiny Hunters has created this attack.
What do they call themselves? Shining Path?
Shiny
Hunters.
Oh, Shining. That's a communist Chinese thing, the Shining Path. I wonder if Shining Hunter is a reference.
No. From what I can understand, they're an extortion group with no actual
no political
location.
They're not Maoists, in other words.
It's claimed that they are just a loose collection of young adults and teenagers.
Yeah.
But,
they're probably like 14 years old.
Yeah, and the FBI and CISA, so U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, have been aware of them for some time. So,
aware of this for some time, and they'll be very useful when it comes to laying some way for future attacks.
They'll get jobs. They'll get hired.
Well, they have no
Yeah.
location according to what.
Maybe.
I've heard stories
They
about that.
could already be
People,
contracted.
people who can hack into something and they say, "Well, I hacked into this. You should hire me because I can do this to you. You need somebody that can keep other people from doing it." It's a hell of a way to put in a job.
They also play. That's how they start war games. They play war games. They will hire people, and it's like, let's see what you can do. And it's war games.
Interestingly, one interesting thing about this group is it's been alleged that they've used some really extreme extortion tactics, including harassment and threatening of executives under family members.
That sounds harmless.
Yeah, but there's a group in Russia that was on the thing about the young kids, and they go around and if they think that companies does things that harms they do all that they do, and they have gotten to the point to where they're like old companies are backing them up. States and as well backing this group up and all that with money, information, and all that. They know when to hide and all that in plain sight. But there's over like 30 of them, and in Russia, they're like bullies. Again,
That's basically what they are in the first place.
Yeah,
It's
and
like, now the thing that I wanted to pull this
Roger,
on.
you're muted.
Yeah, continue.
Can't hear you, Roger.
Okay, so they're basically bullies anyhow. That's basically what the whole deal is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
And, the reason why I wanted to bring that into play is because there is also another issue that's taking place in Canada, which I wanted to bring up. And scammers in Canada are getting Rogers customers to mail them free iPads. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I think I heard something about that. They think they're free, but they're not.
Right. Now,
it's not just iPads. They're actually sending. So I actually went through a story on this. For example, there's this lady who got sent like 40 different laptops, and she was given instructions on what to do with these laptops. Mm-hmm. And after she got done doing whatever with these laptops, she was instructed to mail it somewhere else. She's getting some hardcore prison time, and she didn't know very much about what was going on, except that she was getting paid, and she had this sort of server farm. Yeah,
well, she said she didn't know what was going on, and maybe she didn't. But I mean, I probably in her situation, I might very well myself say, I don't know, or she might have been very careful not to think too hard about it. You get some jobs like, I don't want to know what you guys are doing to pay me.
Yes.
This isn't totally uncommon. Yesterday, do you remember that I was talking about spam email, and I was just going through my own spam email directory, and talking about what was it? It was the dental. I can't remember what it was. I've got to go back in.
I remember when you were talking about it, though.
Yeah, and these organisations saying, I see one here now. You are awarded an ATM card worth of $480,000 US. So these things are uncommon.
So let me go ahead and read this article to you guys so that you can kind of get an idea of what's happening with Rogers, and then let you give your take on it and everything real quick, okay? So when Brianna McKay got a phone call in March from someone claiming to be a Rogers employee offering a cheaper phone plan with a free iPad, she didn't think twice. She had taken advantage of a similar promotion before. She states, I I've gotten a free iPad from them in the past, so I agreed to it, she said. They didn't they didn't ask for any of my information. It seemed legit. The caller walked her through how to sign up for the promotion on the Rogers app, she says. A couple days later, the iPad arrived in the mail followed by a phone call from another person, this time claiming to be from the Rogers Activation Department. McKay, who lives in Oakland, Ontario, says that person told her there had been a mistake and that she would have to pay for a data plan on the iPad. I got upset and I said I clarified multiple times on the phone that there wasn't going to be any charges with this. She said they were so apologetic. McKay says she was told the error could be resolved by simply returning the iPad. They emailed her a return shipping label and she sent it in the mail. The problem? The iPad did not go back to Rogers, but to a home in Brampton, Ontario. McKay then realized she had never spoken with a Rogers employee and had instead been scammed, leaving her with a $120 monthly bill for an iPad she no longer has and a data plan to go with it. It turned out she had not signed up for a cheaper phone, but for an actual iPad financing agreement and data plan with Rogers. She and another victim on the same fraud CBC News spoke with said they cannot afford the monthly payments they are now stuck with. They explained their situation to Rogers and asked the company to stop charging them, which it refused to do. Rogers says it offered a one-time $50 goodwill gesture to McKay on March the 16th and Park on April the 21st. Park says that credit has yet to be reflected on her bill, which CBC has reviewed. It was only after CBC News contacted Rogers, however, that the company removed the $20 monthly service fee for the data plan. The customers are still on the hook for the iPads, which cost $2,350. It was really stressful times. It's really stressful. Times are tough as it is, McKay said. I can't budget in this payment, so I actually don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay, couple of things.
I tell them to go to hell.
Change your bank account.
I would tell them to go to hell and sue me. Go on. I'm suit proof. I don't own a thing. My wife's name. Try to sue me.
First of all, you're talking about Rogers Communications Inc. To give them the full name. So she didn't physically see a contract. She wasn't provided with a physical contract.
You usually don't when they contact you on the phone.
So did they give?
Scam, bro.
Did they provide the full details of the contract over the phone?
She apparently,
they didn't.
According to what she said, they didn't even take her personal information. So
no,
She
because
had to
change her bank account.
if she's already a customer of that company, why would they need to? They're just repeating there.
If she made an agreement with this company, Rogers, she had to at one point clicked on something that agreed to something, which implies that there was something she did not read. I think that's where Mark is going with this, because that was my first thought was like, if they tell you, they can tell you anything. A verbal contract is only as good as the paper it is printed on, and people forget this. And they will tell you anything over the phone, but when you actually go to click on that thing, do your electronic signature or whatever, she had to have done something like that. And again, I personally would just stop paying and ask them, sue me, do whatever, try it. Of course, like I say, I take steps to make myself basically suit-proof, but I think ahead. Most people don't.
Yeah, but
yeah, tell them to go to hell,
Why
and
is it
that
so
means that whatever
complicated?
stolen device will be canceled, right? I mean, if that was stolen from her, technically, can't you report that to the police? My device has been stolen. They have the address, right? So, I don't know. That's my immediate reaction. But she had to have agreed to something at one point to have that contract with Rogers, which means there had to be an end user agreement somewhere there that she just clicked on without reading.
unless it's falsified document sent to her.
Well,
Right, but then she wouldn't be liable, though. She wouldn't be liable then if it was a false document, right? I mean, that's what I figure. It's got to be a legitimate document she signed, or they wouldn't be able to keep charging
I
her.
don't know.
now, hold on. Now, what I'm getting from this is that Rogers contacted her for the offer, okay? But then somebody within the company is the scammer.
Oh,
You
but
know
it's still the company's fault then. It's even more the company's fault then.
right.
It doesn't matter if it's a single person in the company. Apple, the old saying that the responsibility is the buck stops with the CEO, the buck stops with the company.
Yeah, you would hope
How
anyway.
did they get? So how did they get her bank account information? Because in a situation like this, I would just change
a
bank
current
account
customer.
and forget about it.
Well,
Well,
Yeah.
if she's a regular customer, yeah, they would have all that, and the guy inside the company is the one pulling the scam because
Right.
he's got access to that info.
It could have been the
So
person on the
change bank
phone.
account and forget about it.
and what better way too of getting all them
So
free
easy.
phones? Because you can sit there and do that to a bunch of people and have them reroute that phone back to the other address. You
Now-
can get them all like that.
I literally would have reverse scammed them. I would have gotten a device, give them new information, cancel that information, got a new device, give them new information. I would have just been stacking up the devices, and they would have got nothing from me.
But you are technically committing fraud then.
Well,
You,
the same
you could
thing.
be prosecuted for
Don't
fraud.
care.
Counter
Don't
fraud.
care.
Counter fraud.
Now,
Well,
Rogers'
don't care.
response to that was that Rogers says when a customer orders a new device, the company tells them by email and through a note inside the shipping box not to return the device to any other address other than a Rogers one. It also says to inform customers that Rogers will never call asking to return a device. And then they go on to say, we understand how difficult it is for customers who fall victim to fraud, and we actively share information on how to stay protected against fraudulent activity, including return scams targeting consumers globally and across industries.
Yeah, that's just a standard public relations sort of
Yeah.
broad statement. The issue is that there is some sort of issue, inappropriate issue within that company.
Now, if you have a problem with this issue and you want to contact anybody, Rogers' spokesperson is Christina Salatoro. So you contact her and
Or go to the Canadian Standards, whatever standards agency is related to the and I think in the UK, I don't know Canadian law, but UK law, this would fall under the potentially 2000, the 1971 Consumer Rights Act, and also the 2013 Contracts Act. I can't remember the actual term, but yeah.
Apparently, though, from the point of view of Rogers, she made a legitimate purchase from them, so she's liable to pay for it. But what she does with it after she purchases it, if she is foolish enough to send it to the wrong address, it's
That's
basically who dropped the ball.
Yeah.
They had already handed it on, so they feel they're not responsible for her misjudgments. I guess that's the legal position. And I guess that would stand up in court. I mean, if you make that argument, but it's still not very nice.
yeah, it's pretty crappy actually. Now, the Canadian Telecommunication Association, which represents telecom companies like Rogers, says the issue is being seen across a range of industries. Telecommunication providers take these threats seriously and continue to invest in protection and education for consumers, along with collaboration with law enforcement and the Canadian Anti Fraud Center. Spokesperson Nick Kayanka said. And Jong Park just so happened to be in the market for a cheaper internet plan, and somebody claimed to be from Rogers, called offering a good deal on home phone and internet. That led to Park being victimized in the same scam as McKay. At the time of the call in December, the 74-year-old was not an active Rogers customer, though she had been in the past. The fraudster instructed her to send a photo of her driver's license and, unbeknownst to Park, signed her up for the 2-year iPad financial program.
Okay, this puts a slightly different spin on it. So you were saying that somebody acting as a operative of Rogers Communications Inc. Actually created an unsolicited call.
Yeah. And
So,
the return shipping label, the label that the scammer provided to Park was for a home in Edmonton.
Huh.
So in reality, anybody who receives unsolicited calls should ignore them, or should take them with a pinch of salt.
I know I do.
Yeah.
I even ignore solicited
Oh, I
calls.
like the chat.
Yeah, but did you hear what happened?
In fact,
No, I gotta mess with
being
somebody.
a UK citizen and being on the Data Protection Act 2018 and the EEA's General Data Protection Regulations, every time I don't get these scam calls that often, but when I do, they always my personal number, which I don't provide to very many people anyway. But but I will say I will A, ask them for the company name, and B, tell them that they have to remove my data from their databases immediately. It's under the UK law, it's an Information Commissioner's Office issue, and they could be fined so much for violating the Data Protection Act 2018.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is there possible to take, you know how the layout of the clone works, the program and all that? Well, anything like computerized, okay. Why I'm asking is because I found out one time that the guy at Post Office said, you got to watch out when you enter your phone, because it's happened to him. He's had cops come to his house and all that cause of it, where someone called him up, but then stuck like a bug into his phone to where when they do the call, it shows up as it coming from his phone, pops from his phone to their phone, and then goes out, and then comes back the same direction. Reroute from one.
You can have any number you want, I guess. You can program your phone to
that's not what I'm
say.
referring to.
Also, you can create non-numbered calls.
Yeah.
So
I'm
unknown numbers.
Yeah, but like you got your phone, okay? You're gonna set your phone up to contact my phone and run you're talking through my phone system.
Mhm.
And it's coming to, and wherever you're talking to, my phone number showing up as you're calling from my phone.
Yeah, they're
Not
called,
before.
it's called robocalls.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Veritas did a video on how to do it.
Yeah.
Because as well too, like Iowa, EMO, the state next to Illinois, they sent an alert out to everyone in the state about that because they had a bad case last month about massive amounts of rope calling just through the state about
yeah,
a whole
Missouri.
bunch of scams.
Yeah, that's happening in Missouri. They're actually putting public notices up here in Missouri, notifying people to be on the lookout for robocalls that are scam. So that's what he's
But this
referring.
goes back to the sort of security that US citizens have or don't have when it comes to any sort of customer service.
Okay, so now
yeah,
that you
which is
mentioned
really
that,
poor in the US.
we'll get a little bit more into Canada with well, that actually by what we were just talking about was all Canada. And the next thing I want to bring up is something that goes into more of the deeper things that are happening. Now, first of all, I want to mention like when it comes to gaming. Okay, if you know anything about gaming, you'll find out that Nintendo Switch 2 has officially confirmed a global $50 price increase for the Nintendo Switch 2. Okay. Now the thing about this that's so messed up about it is they are trying to claim that the price hikes are due to freaking the massive AI fueled global memory chip supplies crunch and the changing tariffs that are taking place.
Is there a memory chip crunch? I hadn't known that.
Yeah. So the price shifts in Canada, okay, is where the council will jump from $50 to will jump by $50 to $679 Canadian dollars. Okay.
Canadian dollars.
Yeah. Now in Canada, the price will increase from $469 to $499. And
Okay.
It's like $10 American or something. I'm kidding.
This really goes back to how consumers buy their equipment. Going to the local high street chain to buy the equipment rather than looking around for different vendors and
they're blaming this on AI, dude.
Yeah, no, that's no excuse. Well, that's an excuse.
Before you play through the internet.
No, I mean, when I buy equipment, I will look at new old stock. I will look at warehouses. I will look at different vendors. I will not go to my local high street chain store and buy. I will not go to use a US euphemism. I would not go to Walmart and buy a new computer from Walmart.
Okay, now they're literally.
I would actually do some actual research on know what I want to buy.
Mark, they are blaming.
Specific what I want to buy, and then find the most applicable vendor.
Mark, they are literally blaming AI and freaking tariffs.
Yeah. Okay. So about vendors that have warehouses of these machines from, let's say, 2 years ago or 6 months ago.
That's the whole point. I mean, why would these prices have to come up with AI being incorporated?
Because consumers, the average consumer doesn't know how to buy equipment. It doesn't know how to buy anything these days. They will just go down to the local high street chain and say, "Oh, pretty! Oh, thank you. I'm going to give you 20% more than I could elsewhere. But here, take my cash."
Yeah, but one thing I would like to know: what kind of AI are they talking about? Where
no, it's just we aren't talking about any specific AI. It's data centers buying up consumer silicon.
Well, let me continue because the plot thickens. This is if it was just this, it would be fine. But this is when we start talking about Waymo. Okay. Now in Canada, there's an autonomous ride-hailing robo taxi Okay, now they have to raise all the prices up on these switches, but then they're setting up a freaking robo-taxi system firm that's owned by Google's parent company, Alphabet. Okay, so Waymo has officially applied to Ontario's automated vehicle program to bring its fully driverless AI-powered taxi fleets into Canada, with Toronto serving as its primary target and testing ground. They're also planning on doing a little bit of it in New York City as well. So the Canadian rollout features several key developments. The Waymo driver, which is AI. Waymo vehicles do not have a human safety driver behind the wheel. The cars use an advanced physical AI platform that processes data from 360-degree cameras, LiDAR, which is laser sensors, radar, and real-time mapping to make driver decisions in milliseconds. Now, the app experience. The passenger uses a smartphone app similar to Uber to hail the taxi. Before the vehicle arrives, riders can use the app to customize the car's internal climate, set the seat position, and choose the radio station. Now, the key roadblocks and challenges that are going to take place in Canada is that while Waymo already operates successful commercial robotaxi services across several major U.S. cities, including San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix, entering Canada introduces unique hurdles. The winter wet weather is a problem, and then political and city pushback, which is coming out of Toronto with Toronto's
I was
mayor.
just about to ask about the
See, we talked about this last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about regulatory legal ecosystem in Canada in relation to this.
Now, the homegrown Canadian competitor is Wabi. Now, they claim that Wabi is homegrown, but Wabi is actually freaking a vehicle that is built in China. And, okay, now they call it a homegrown vehicle, but that's not what it is. Okay, if you do check.
Can we take a time out and plug Robert's show that we did last night, because we got balls deep into it. This.
Well, I mean, if you want to.
Also,
Yeah, I mean, give your brother a shout out.
You're forgetting one big thing. If consumers don't want this sort of thing, then they're not going to purchase such services.
They don't have to. It's already been planned for them.
So there's no such thing as less than fair markets in Canada.
That's
you
right.
are forced to use that one company or no other company.
Okay, so which
Seriously,
country, which supposed constitutional government, okay, is the most socialist out of all of the ones in the United Kingdom or the frickin' British Empire? That would be Canada, okay? There's more.
Australia, you could argue.
You know what I mean? If you had to pick.
Are you sure it's not Ireland?
Well, England, yeah, England is actually the worst.
Doesn't Canada have sort of small taxi companies?
Yeah, the electric one, the drones.
I mean, I don't use taxis that often, but I know my dad does, and he actually prefers a specific local-based taxi company. Which has probably got less than 100 employees, if that. Just because there's this big company out there doesn't mean that consumers have to use them.
If that's all that's there, because sooner or later they're going to be phased out. Because
what? So you're saying that Canada's now fully communist, and there's no such thing as free
Because
market.
no, what I'm referring to is like, okay, what happened over there in I forget the name of the country. Okay, they deal with Japan, I think, for meat. Okay, and they made a bunch of bargains with the New Zealand. Okay, they made a bunch of deals with New Zealand,
Okay, so
and
I
they
know,
fought back
Robert,
on it.
I know you're obsessed with meat right now, and you keep talking about it. But let's stay on technology, okay?
Yeah.
No, I know, but let's not talk about genetically modified meat tonight. Now,
Well, it's the same. For instance, consumers have the choice of buying from where they want,
well, the thing of it
irrelevant
is,
if it's meat or taxi services or whatever.
this goes even deeper too, though, because there's been negotiations between Canada and China concerning advanced vehicle technologies, and they're playing out through bilateral trade agreements regarding connected and intelligent electronic vehicles, which is EVs. Okay. So rather than isolated talks on driverless software, the two nations have negotiated a geopolitical pivot centered on software-heavy smart vehicles and domestic factory investments and strict new data security regulations. Now, if you want to check that out, that's the Carney Zai Automotive Pack that just recently. It's supposed to be a landmark.
Well, China and Canada are real chummy lately. Didn't Canada have Chinese soldiers training over there not too long ago? Under Trudeau.
Again,
So I want to take a step back, and I don't like the aspect of the consumer taking the hit before things are even developed. I mean, what was just a few years ago, when there was a rush for crypto mining, and GPU prices skyrocketed, doubled, tripled, quadrupled, and everybody's waiting for RTX ray tracing GPU to put in their gaming computers. How long did it take for gamers to get their GPUs after so many were bought by the mining people? So I
don't
mean,
really buy that argument, because you're talking about gaming
customers took the hit.
demographics, in the big world of computing. The gaming demographic is relatively small, and also you're expecting that small demographic all wanting the latest and greatest.
Not just gamers, it's developers. You've got
not all of them will be wanting the latest, greatest GPU. So you are looking at a small demographic with even a smaller demographic.
It's not just gamers. You've got developers. You've got people in the movies doing movie graphics. You've got all kinds of people.
Quite a relatively small demographic.
Yeah, no. How big is the demographic for each of them?
No. Gamer demographic. Gamers spend more money on tech than most of the other demographics, so they're pretty significant. I know I spend money out the A to upgrade my stuff all the time. Okay, so it might be a small amount of people, but they spend more money.
Yeah, I appreciate that they this specific demographic does spend a lot of money on hardware technology, but
but my
people
point
who just want a computer to access Facebook
these
and
kits are more
work
expensive
with
now.
it, and aren't going to buy the latest, greatest machines, aren't they?
I was
When speak.
Well, how does
Point being, the consumer's taking the hit.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, that's my only point.
again, when it comes to that sort of thing, then consumers need to know what they're buying and need to be good and sensible and
bargain shopping.
Use a bit of critical thinking when they're buying.
Yeah,
Or
but we call it,
big high street chain, pretty. Let's
Well,
buy that.
I think it has a lot more to do with just being a better shopper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because whenever you're setting up agreements with China to put these AI-powered vehicles into service, these cars are driving around your streets and they're mapping geography out. Now, this is like a freaking dream
Yes.
come true when it comes to China because they're getting intelligence off of the data that these cars are drawing in. They're literally drawing
Yeah,
a map of where
but-
everything is.
That mapping data is already
It's been
available
done,
anyway.
right?
You've got companies like Apple with the Apple Maps and Google with the Google Maps and OpenStreetMaps and standard
Well,
sort of.
let me add to that.
Pokemon
Go. Listen.
Maps.
Pokemon
yeah, but here's
Go.
the best part about that. None of them has, jets can set on and use weapons. Okay, they can use the information of the layout of roads, buildings, and all that.
That's all public information anyway.
Yeah. But what I'm saying
You
is
need to
they got
look at
more
the
access.
history of the Pokemon Go.
They got more of an access.
Okay.
That
The-
more
they
data.
literally, the people behind that literally said the reason for that was to map out the landscape of the entire environment. They literally came out and said that. That was there's a company that took all that data from the Pokemon Go to have that. I mean, it's been done repeatedly.
But
So
that's
it's just-
information that's been
It's just who
available
wants to
for
buy that
a
data
long
and who
time
wants to
anyway.
buy that data
That,
themselves.
like I said, OpenStreetMaps, Google Maps,
Right. It's been
local
done before.
authorities.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, TomTom. If anybody remembered TomTom.
Right.
Yeah, but
But it's just who's willing to pay for that set of data, or who is going to develop something to get that data themselves, and
but
it's just being
like a
rehashed,
camera.
rehashed.
like a camera. If you install a camera on them portable taxis, okay, you're looking at a building, and what better way of finding out structurally of that building? That if you have a camera with different types of things for progress, like how sound is it? The construction of the building, like an X-ray machine, has that ability.
That sort of building information is publicly available anyway. Local councils will have information on that.
Well, I'm
Go
talking
down
like
to your
national
local
security
council
building.
and ask to see audience maps.
So we
This
are.
data is either being paid for or recreated. That's
Also,
all.
one
That's
other
what we know.
point. In the UK, it's I can't remember which law it is, but the law is that a vehicle must have a driver. Even if that driver is not actually driving, it must have an operator behind it.
That's like here in the U.S.
Yeah, well, not. I think it's
apparently.
and as Roger was saying, some.
They're planning.
from-
Now, see, the only issue they have with this whole thing is that China is actually the ones that are developing this stuff and sending it to Canada. That's the only issue, and they're actually here in the United States. They're threatening to block any Chinese-made
I would
or
actually argue
Chinese
that's a big
software.
issue.
Yeah.
And
All those
I-
vaccines, and then Peking gives the order, and they all go crazy.
yeah, but you look at
I've used this example before, but what happens if one of these automated vehicles mows down a pedestrian? Who's responsible? Who's
Poor
to be blamed there?
Yeah, unless there's a human driver, you can't sue
That's
anyone.
Canada.
No, I mean
Canada-
nobody's held responsible. You can't prosecute an electronic device. For
Well,
that.
in
right.
the UK, again, it would be the driver or the person behind
The company.
operator.
Right. Well,
They
even
put
then,
cats and
even
dogs
then,
My
on
phone
trial
is dying,
before.
guys. I've
Even-
got to.
you gotta hit
I've
out.
got to go, guys. My phone is dying.
All right.
I will jump back here after my phone charges a little bit.
All right.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy. Now, this whole thing actually is a good point to where I can bring up the last top point that I want to bring into this, because this is really important. Have you guys ever heard of dark factories or lights out factories?
You mean like Amazon sort of
No.
automated factories? That's
Yeah,
the word.
it's they're basically manufacturing plants that is they're so automated by artificial intelligence and robotics that it can operate 24/7 without any human workers. Doesn't need any kind of heating. Doesn't need any internal lighting.
Or
A lot of the
a
times,
skeleton.
a lot of the times, that's the reason why
I
they
mean,
call
main-
it.
No, that's the new AI. That's how they're making that's what you're talking about, making space exploration to happen.
No, listen now. Let me finish with the topic, because you're wanting to go off to space exploration and stuff. Now, in China, China's basically their electronic vehicles, they're exploding, and self-driving autonomous sectors that are involved in this involve factories that are no longer like a part of what you would consider science fiction. Okay, they're actually a component in the country's global manufacturing strategy. And what they do is they set up these traditional auto part plants, okay, and by all accounts they look like regular auto plants, but they don't even have the lights turned on. That's how little they need humans in it. They just keep the lights off and let these robots and this AI do all the work.
automated system, yeah, rather than AI.
Okay.
Again, who's what happens when one of these machines break down?
Well, they must
Hopefully
have
the
some, like you were
human
saying, Mark.
Yeah, they
there
do.
must be some maintenance guys, a skeleton crew of some sort. But it's like,
That's-
you're employing 2 people instead of 2,000. That's
Yeah.
like a big.
Yeah.
Or they could even have like an alert go off and have a repairman go from a central location.
Well, in Canada, they have at the AI building, they have only 1,100 people working there. A very skeleton for three screw.
This actually is
Yeah.
a little bit more than what you guys are talking about. Now, it would be great if they had like a maintenance guy there, but this goes into something that Robert's been trying to talk about, and he can't really get it out right, but they've been doing research in self-repair, okay, where artificial intelligence and robotics can actually repair itself. So in a lot of these factories, these dark factories, whenever something breaks down, the program itself repairs the part that needs to be repaired.
Mhm.
Okay, so this gets even more intense, and they're using it for scientific research on top of manufacturing these cars and pushing them out, and they're doing it 24/7.
Because when they get ready for space exploration and they start mining the mine, they can use the whole process of that for that purpose.
As far as I'm aware, that there is no commercial usage of automated repair facilities at this present moment.
I'm pretty
As
sure
far as I'm
they,
aware.
It creates, it heals it. It got the little robots where it repairs it. If it's not
Yeah,
serious,
as far as I'm aware, there
Yeah.
isn't any sort of mechanism.
But
well,
then-
I'm making you aware of it when I'm talking about these dark factories. Okay,
Yeah,
That's-
you were saying the possibility.
No, that's what's taking place right now. That all these cars that are getting
Show
shipped
me
to
a company.
Canada. Okay, I actually do have a company available.
I'll have to
for
do some research on this, but yeah, give me a couple of company examples.
but
You-
and
that's